Okay, moving on. My puffle socks. Here's the deal. I'm so frustrated with this project. So I started these at the beginning of March, did I not? And to be fair, I'm done almost with the first sock. So I started with Bodacious and then I alternated Gnarly and Fat Tuesday. And now I'm back to Bodacious and I'm almost done with the toe, right? Oh, I think we have some rivalry going on here. Okay, I'm not going to say anything else because I don't know anything about any of them. But I'm so frustrated because I'm making these for my sister-in-law and her birthday is April 4th and I have like a week left before I need to get these shipped out. And it's obviously doable, right? I can knit a sock in a week. I've done it before, but I just find it frustrating because inevitably when I start gift knitting for people, this is what happens. Somehow it's a variety of reasons, but there's always a reason I end up getting right down to the wire and then I feel stressed and pressured. I need to get these done on time. I'll get them done, but like I said, I'm annoyed. Anyway, the other concern that I have is so I only used a mini of the gnarly for the body of the sock. So I'm just, if I alternate colors or if I switch out the colors like I usually do. So I'll do gnarly on the cuff and the toe of the second sock. That's enough, right? That's enough for a cuff and a toe. And then because of that, likewise, I hope I have enough of Bodacious for the body of the other sock. Obviously, I'll have enough Fat Tuesday because I have a whole skein. But this is good because as I was telling my Dying to Knit people last night, I'm going to be teaching a class this summer about how to read a skein of yarn and kind of get an idea of how it will knit up depending on which project you decide to work on with it. But Fat Tuesday is actually a great colorway to use. So when I'm done with these socks, I'm going to take the leftovers and I'm going to knit a small circumference, straight up just with the Fat Tuesday. And then I'm going to do a wider circumference so that you can see the difference of how it knits up. And I realized too, I really need to do a better job of showing you all what a skein looks like. So I'll start trying to do a better job with my pictures of taking a photo of skeins laid out. Because, anytime you have color repeats down, like Fat Tuesday does, you're going to have some sort of either like, we call it faux self-striping because it's not true self-striping yarn, but in a sock, it will look somewhat like self-striping yarn, like you can see Fat Tuesday here does. However, it's not true like you would expect. Like there are some sections here where you see like that's mostly green. That's because when I dyed up that skein, I made a bigger section of the green. So it makes sense that you would see more of the green than you do of the yellow and the purple. The yellow and the purple, you get like maybe a round of them and that's it. That's because they're smaller sections. So anyway, yeah. So I will be working on these monogamous, whatever, Lee, until they are done. So yeah. All right. Let's see. I know gift knitting can be stressful for sure. And I don't handle that stress well. So, oh, Chattahoochee. Okay. I'll have to check that. So I'm curious, Deb, are those patterns now available or not? Or do you have to wait a while? Okay, so shop update. What have we got going on? So couple of things. I'm going to show you, if you are in Dying to Knit and you haven't watched the video from last night yet, you might want to, and you don't want to see the colorway, then you might want to close your eyes. I'm just going to show it real quick. This is the colorway that we dyed up, and we talked about the color repeats because they are in there. I'm not going to go into it too much today. It was inspired by a book cover of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. And so, yeah, so we had fun dyeing that up. The reason I bring it up is so you'll have FOMO, not really, but also to show you the coordinating cousins that go with that and which are on pre-order for anybody. They're on multiple bases, but not every base. I basically made it available on the bases that are available for dying to knit people, since it is geared towards them. So the first colorway is this. It's a tonal purple base, and then it's got speckles all over the place. So this doesn't really have color repeats. This is just a nice tonal solid with, like I said, overall speckles in silver. And that is called Marmee. Marmee March, the mother. And then the other one is called Ant March, the dreaded Ant March. No, I'm just kidding. And it is, so this I speckled a dark mossy green that really likes to break. So you see those dark blues in there and some golden browns. There's even a little bit of a deep, deep magenta that I saw periodically. Those all come from that green. And then there's also, you see some of that bright blue that's sitting in there. That's another dye powder that I speckled with. So that's Ant March. This is another one that's an overall speckle. I didn't do color repeats of any length. They're just, you know, the whole skein is like a tonal. But I did speckle it. And this is another one, by the way. So this is now my second colorway where I measured out the dye powder. You know, normally, and I say this all the time, well, if I speckle, I don't really measure. I just speckle and go by visually. But with this colorway, I actually measured out how much dye powder I used of each of the dye powders. And now, granted, it's per pan rather than per skein, really. So some skeins might get a little bit more than others, but overall, I'm just hoping for a more consistent colorway. Hey, Linda, good to see you. The clarity is so much better. Yes, it is. It's a better camera, honestly. I might could do something about that. I'm glad you said that. Maybe some of it too could be the lighting, because it's at night, you don't get all that daylight, but I might start changing out my camera. I'm glad you said that. Yes, very good. Yeah. Oh, and Bo to the rescue. Yeah, laptop cameras aren't great, but like I said, maybe I'll have Bo start helping me set up and we'll change that. Okay. The other thing, or another thing that is in the shop, is this colorway. It is only on 2 bases. Actually, both of these colorways, they're slightly different. So this is Swanky Sock. It is also available on Trusty DK. Valera, I sent you an email about that. So these started out, if y'all remember they're down there. I don't know if you can see. No, they're kind of behind my chair. A couple weeks ago, I did that pastel collection, which is not really available. Anyway, Birds of a Feather was one of them. So I had a wholesale order and I was dyeing up Birds of a Feather, which, by the way, is a combination of 2 dye powders. And I had one of the dye powders is in a special canister that's different from all my others. And I had another blue dye powder out in the same style canister. And for some reason, I just assumed that was the one that I needed, which is why I should not leave my canister sitting out, because you know what happens when you assume. Anyway, it was the wrong dye powder. So I dyed it up. As soon as I got it, I was like, I think it was in the pan. And I was like, it's not the right color. Sure enough, I looked and I was like, ah, crud. But it left me some skeins of a different blue. So I put them back in the pots. And yeah, I dyed up. So we have 2 birds and a bunny, because the colorway was supposed to be Birds of a Feather. So this is 2 birds and a bunny. It's got that, blue base, and then it's got some of that beautiful violet speckling going on that also breaks. And so you see some beautiful pinks in there and even some various shades of blue. And then this one I speckled with a couple of pinks that also break. And this one is called Cherry Blossoms. Bo mentioned that it looks a little bit like when you see pictures of cherry blossoms, sometimes that sky in the background. Yeah, so it definitely looks like that. So we have cherry blossoms and two birds and a bunny. So those are in the shop for now. I don't know if they'll be mainstays or not. I do have the dye recipes written down, maybe for spring. I'll make a note of that maybe we'll bring it back for spring. I also updated, I already mentioned Gretna Green and executive producer are updated on a couple bases. And I also updated Purple Leaf Plum. This was a huge hit at Nash Yarn Fest. I'm noticing, by the way, that my dye strategy for festivals is probably going to have to be a little bit different than what I typically do. So, for festivals, you really need more of a quantity. Although I did come away with a handful of special orders, like sweater quantities. But I think a lot of dyers who dye for festivals, and I could be wrong with that, with this, it's just a feeling I've gotten, is that they have specific samples, and then they've got a lot of those colorways for those samples, because we noticed that right away. People walk up and they see the sample. Most of my special orders were for fluffy lace, because I had one of my Cumulus blouses that I had knit up holding 2 strands of fluffy lace, and they loved that sample. So anyway, so I might have to I might have to change some of my dyeing strategy, which is it's all good. I like a challenge, you know me. Anyway, Purple Leaf Plum is back in the shop. Just look at that gorgeousness. Anyway, yeah, so that was a big hit at Nash Yarn Fest. And then we have a true, it's a one of a kind, because it's not coming back. This is Fro-Yo. Morgan and I couldn't remember. There's a flavor of Fro-Yo that looks like this. And I remember it because Morgan used to get it, but we couldn't remember or figure out what that flavor was. But anyway, it's called Fro-Yo. And the reason for it, I'll just let y'all know, I am kind of auditioning some colorways for an upcoming collection. I don't know when. It's not imminent. I'm just playing around right now. I don't even know how many colorways will be in it. But anyway, so this was one of my little experiments. There are no color repeats in it. It's an overall, like, you pretty much get this throughout the entire skein. You've got some really bright spring colors in there. There was supposed to be some pink in there, but it kind of turned more of a peachy color because of the way that it interacts with the yellow and the green and the blue in there. So yeah, so if you're looking for some bright spring colors, then Fro-Yo is for you. A happy little accident. Yes, indeed.